The Casso Hotel describes itself as stylish, playful, and delightfully irreverent, meaning it isn't afraid to disregard convention and to do things just a little differently. And during our stay, things certainly became a little unconventional, because before the weekend was over, one of the elevators had stopped working, trapping guests inside, and the Raleigh Fire Department had to arrive to help get them out. That unexpected drama was only one small part of our overall experience. So was the Casso delightfully different, memorable for all the right reasons, and ultimately worth leaving home for? Let's find out.
Okay, I was literally on that elevator by myself this morning to go get our coffee. If that had been me, I would have died.
So we're on our way to go stay at the Casso. And the hotel is supposed to be, I can't remember, did it say delightfully irreverent?
Delightfully irreverent, yep.
Delightfully irreverent.
Yep.
Which is kind of odd and a little bit of an oxymoron. Because irreverent is sort of rebellious, it's flying in the face of things, it's disagreeable. So it makes me wonder what their angle is. Like, what is it about this hotel that is going to make it delightfully irreverent? And of course, we won't know until we get there. But what an interesting marketing message to have on their website. And of course, you know, Carol, over there in the pilot seat, over there in the co-pilot seat, it's all about marketing. So what do you think about the marketing message?
I'm curious. Oh no, now I feel like I'm on camera. Yeah, I'm just curious what it means. I've seen some of the pictures online, but that can be deceiving. I want to see what the full experience is like.
It makes me wonder what they're rebelling against. Because obviously there's a certain conformity to hotels, right? At different price points. There are certain amenities that you expect to find when you get there. And it was interesting to see that, from what I've read online, there's no microwave, there's no refrigerator. So are they irreverent in that they don't care? They've taken away amenities in order to fulfill this marketing message and present themselves in a certain way. Like we're so different, we don't need these things? Or was it, we ran out of money, we don't want to put those things in, and so we'll just call ourselves irreverent because we're rebelling against the system and against other hotels of similar price point. It will be super interesting to see what the energy is and whether they can deliver on that irreverence. And will it be delightful? We'll find out. So if I remember rightly, the hotel is close to Hillsborough Street and downtown. So it's walkable distance to quite a few restaurants.
It is, and it's actually close to NC State campus. So for all the parents that are coming to Raleigh to see their kids or to look at campuses, because we have so many here in Raleigh. We've got obviously NC State, we have Duke, we have UNC. We just happen to have a few kids that have gone to some of those.
Yes, they did. Still going.
Still going. One is graduated, one is getting ready to graduate, and then the other will graduate in about, a year and a half, 2 years.
Yep.
So we're also tonight going to be checking out their restaurant, Good Day, Good Night. So you can eat breakfast there, you can eat lunch, and you can eat dinner. And I think it's also a bar. I'm not quite sure if that's separate, but we'll check it out and let you know if it's worth eating at.
We moved to Raleigh from Western Wyoming in 2018, and one of the things that drew us to this location was how understated it is. It retains enough of that small town feel that you won't get lost here, even though it does deliver amenities on par with a city twice its size. Now, when it comes to being understated, that's actually a pretty good description of the hotel. From the street, you wouldn't even know there's a hotel there if you weren't looking for it. As with most downtown hotels, this one costs you $20 a day for parking, and although that's not outrageous, again, it's another small nibble at the wallet, adding to the true cost of the stay. Carol and I were both fascinated to find out that Sir Walter Raleigh, the man this city's actually named for, never set foot in North America. He financed the Roanoke expeditions from England while sending others to actually do the exploring. This rather odd situation came about because Sir Walter Raleigh was one of Queen Elizabeth's most favourite people, and she didn't want him off risking his life gallivanting around the world. So even though there's a bloody lovely big picture of him in the lobby of the hotel, he never actually made it to North Carolina. Once you enter the hotel, the front desk is right there, so check-in was very easy. But then as you walk into the hotel, you go past the bathrooms before you get into the heart of the hotel and the elevators, which seems like an odd sequence for a first guest experience. As you turn the corner and you're met by these wooden slats cascading down the wall, which looked to me like someone had deconstructed a church pipe organ. I know, art can be interpreted differently from one person to the next. And then you're met by the giant squirrel. So as far as the hotel's impression and living up to this irreverent marketing tag, so far so good. As we trundled out of the elevator on our floor, the parents in us couldn't help but notice that the carpet pattern is busy enough to achieve two objectives: hide all of those stains that carpets get over time inside our hotel, but also still stylish enough to be reminiscent of those wooden slats up on the wall in the hotel foyer.
The squirrels.
And then, of course, where would we be without 6 squirrels on the wall letting you know you're on the 6th floor? All right, so we're going to go into the room. We're going to go first impressions. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into any hotel, from what it smells like when you first go in there, what the furniture layout looks like, and even how much space there is in the room. We've read online before coming to the hotel that the rooms are supposed to be fairly small. But of course, small hotel rooms are relative. We stayed in London a year or so ago, and that hotel was bloody tiny. Now, it was a great hotel, but you were tripping over each other, the bags, everything. So I'm hoping that this room is not that kind of compact size. All right. This is not nearly as small as I expected it to be. Now, the first thing I immediately notice is there's no wardrobe. This is where your clothes go, which I imagine is fine for a couple who've been together for 30 years. You just throw everything on the wall. But it's also a little messy once your clothes go up there. So do I like it? I don't know. I'll tell you when we get to the end of our stay. Yep. The other thing I see is a steamer instead of an iron. Now, I am a very good ironer.
You are indeed, actually. I don't iron.
No, you don't.
You
I do all the ironing. But that's
your
the military.
For sure.
But a steamer might be handy. I don't know. We're here in, fairly wrinkle-free clothes because we're not here to work. So we probably won't use it, but it would be a good thing to have on hand if you were here for business.
And that's where the luggage goes. There's one luggage stand. It does have a full-length mirror, at least.
So when it comes to a bed test, I'm not a big believer in just sitting down for 10 seconds and then saying, the bed feels great. How do you know? I'll tell you in the morning when my back does or doesn't ache. We're a bit of a fan of firm mattresses, so we'll see in the morning whether the bed is comfortable. I do like the subway tiles in the shower. The shower head leaves a little bit to the imagination. Yeah, it needs to be an experience that's memorable, and it needs to be enjoyable from the standpoint of, is it at least as comfortable as my bed at home? Is the shower as good as what we have at home? Because how many times have you climbed into a hotel shower and you're having to do the matrix in there to try and find some water?
Also, with the shower, it just is not as clean and taken care of as it could be. You can see a bunch of scuff marks even inside the shower. It's clean, but it could be cleaner and really taken care of a little bit better.
As far as the layout for the rest of the bathroom, obviously one sink for 2 people is a little bit inconvenient. I imagine that this room would be absolutely perfect if you were here for a business trip by yourself. But as Carol said earlier, if you come here to go to schools and it's you and a spouse, you and another half, one sink is kind of restrictive.
And there's no bidet, which we have at home and will be missed.
We will miss the bidet.
Again, that's dirt, look. Yeah, not nice. And then
one thing we both noticed when we came in, I know it's a silly thing to think of, but that's a nice ceiling. I like the boards.
and I just noticed here, they have a trash can that has the recycling on one side and the trash on the other, which is nice because Raleigh's I like to think it was a pretty green city. So it's nice they have a place for recycling. That's not something you care so much about.
Nope.
That's okay. I try to be conscious for both of us.
That's right. You get your Halo and Angel Wings way before I do.
Pretty much.
There's a QR code for room service featured very prominently on this magnetic board. Unfortunately for us, it never worked.
All right, so here's a shot of the lovely downtown Raleigh. So it doesn't have a bunch of tall buildings like a lot of cities. You can tell it's quaint. It has a lot of trees. It's easily walkable. You can see some restaurants and stuff down there. It looks like, I mean, this is Friday night, y'all. It's picking up. I see some people walking. And there is a bus, like there's if you can get that bus right there. That is the NC State, and then maybe that's a Go Raleigh bus. But there's a lot of buses around here. So if you are here from out of town and you didn't drive, there is some transportation down here, but it's easily walkable.
As we're now on our way to dinner, I got a funny story about squirrels. I used to have a corporate team building business teaching survival skills to guys out in the woods. We would trap squirrels and eat them as part of the experience. If we'd ever come across one that big, we might have even had leftovers. Well, I was just going to say, there's some great music playing, but because it's YouTube, we can't let you hear it. But I can tell you right now.
It's a Friday night and it's happening here.
Yeah, at least for another 25 minutes, and then I'm going to get sleepy.
Wait, well, what time is it? I didn't even look.
19:25.
Okay, for all the regular people, that is
7:25.
Thank you. And it is pretty much our bedtime. Usually we're wrapping up the night at this time, so.
Unfortunately, that's as far as we can go with the restaurant review, because the music turned out to be so loud that in post I couldn't get it out of the conversation without butchering and making what we were saying inaudible. So we decided, well, we'll just lean into it. Now, the benefit of doing this in this particular case is the restaurant was so bland and so disappointing, you're not missing a darn thing. To the degree that if you were coming in to stay in Raleigh and this happened to be the hotel you were staying at, a long flight, a long drive, it is still going to be worth getting out of the hotel and walking to one of the other close proximity restaurants rather than eating in at this location. Which tells you a lot, because I'm one of those kind of people that gets to a hotel and if I'm a bit tired, I'd rather just eat whatever's there. This is not one of those cases. And speaking of restaurants that are close, we highly recommend you watch the video we did on a restaurant that's 10 minutes away from this location called Death and Taxes. This is phenomenal food. It was a great review. We had a really nice evening there. So if you are not exhausted and you are willing to go out, that would be a much better choice, and one that I nearly guarantee you would not be disappointed in doing. Once we were back in the room, we had just enough strength left in us to grab a shower and call it a day. Good night.
All right, so we have our notes here because we want to go through all the categories with you guys. So we want to start with, well, we have 5 categories, right?
Yeah.
So we'll start with sleep.
Start with sleep. But actually the mattress I thought was pretty comfortable.
Yeah, it was.
It really was.
We tend to like a firmer mattress. So if you like a really fluffy where you just kind of fold into it, you're not going to like this, but that's not, our backs can't take that soft.
We're well past that.
Yeah, we are.
Uh-huh.
And then of course you brought your pillow cube that you always travel with.
Yeah.
Again, not sponsored. They offer 2 pillows. So one of them has like the down where you just go flat if you like that. I do not. But they had the memory foam and I thought it was pretty good. So
Felt supported.
yeah. It was good enough. It wasn't, it wasn't like the one I have at home, but it was good enough.
Yeah.
It didn't wake me up with either like my neck hurting or like the sheets didn't crinkle, because sometimes when you're at hotels and you roll over and it just
makes that noise in
your
your ear, keeps waking you up.
So there's none of that. So
we didn't wake up with any more pain than we went to bed.
this is true. So that's good.
That's
a good measure.
That's a good win.
That's true. Yeah. Now, as far as sleep goes, beyond the mattress and the pillow, something to keep in mind. We don't know. It's a Saturday morning. If this is during the week as well, but we did hear a train at 5:50 this morning, which we were actually awake because we wake up early since we go to bed early. But just know that because it really pissed you off.
5:50, the train horn going off could be a bit much.
Yeah, and then it was again after like 7, like I don't know, 7:15, 7:20. So
yeah, one again.
Something to be, because it's very close.
Yeah.
Like because we had a fan going. You've got that travel fan that you like.
Yeah.
And we had the rain app going too. So
we have a lot of travel things we have to go with.
All the comforts. We're too old to not have as much comfort as possible.
Yeah. Something else that's worth mentioning, this is a front street facing hotel. So last night at around 1 a.m. there was some drag racing going on. There was a police alarm siren going off not too long after that. So there is street noise that will make it up into your hotel room. I don't know how in the world a hotel could block all of that, because it was pretty bloody loud. And it didn't, because the bed was comfortable, going back to sleep wasn't a problem. But again, totality of quality of sleep over a period of time. If you're getting a lot of street noise, the train is going off, you've got sirens. It's a little bit like, at least in a very small way, a bit like New York, or at least how I envisioned New York after our trips, years ago.
Yeah.
So it can be noisy. It's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay. So it was solid, not exceptional overall for the sleep.
I think so.
Yeah. Good enough, like we said.
Good enough.
All right, shower.
Yeah.
Insert picture.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, it was, again, the shower heads in these hotels, especially, at a price point where you would expect it to deliver. It wasn't even close in terms of quality of water. I think there was more water coming out the back of the shower head than there was coming out of the front, or at least it was a 50-50. So it's one of those things that, it takes a lot longer to feel clean with a shower that's not delivering the water or the water pressure. And I know we're spoiled because we have that beautiful rain head shower at home.
Yeah.
But that's the point. You have these things at home. They should be in the hotels, especially I think at this price point.
Yeah, it was puny. I tell you what, one little thing that I did appreciate that I struggle with when I'm traveling for work and staying at just your run-of-the-mill hotels is that I was able to turn on the shower before getting in the shower and getting wet. I don't know. I feel like when I'm at other hotels, I have to turn on the shower and then I get wet because I gotta wait. I am not getting in the shower and turning on. That's too cold. I'm a princess. Like it needs to be warm before I get in. So that was a small little detail that I did appreciate that. I don't know if you would have noticed because you don't mind cold, but...
I don't mind. Take cold showers all the time. But I see how the convenience of that. If you want to be able to turn it on, get yourself ready for your shower and then get in without getting your clothes or towel or robe wet.
Yeah, exactly. And another little thing is that they didn't have any shower caps in the room, which irritates me. And I forgot to bring one. So, I just did a towel, but, I don't wash my hair every day.
Or robes. They didn't have any robes either.
That's true. Yeah.
Which is kind of disappointing.
Yeah, that's what makes me feel like when I'm at a nice, that's what makes me feel like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm at a nice place.
You wrap up in the robe, you get cozy. It's all part of that. I am now relaxed.
Yeah,
that wasn't here.
Yeah. Okay, so the shower was a fail, really.
It was, yeah.
All right, let's talk about how clean it was and kind of the overall condition.
I thought overall it was not too bad. I don't know how old the hotel is. I think I read somewhere maybe 5-6 years, somewhere in that ballpark. It is starting to show some of that age. And no, I have absolutely no idea how expensive it is to upkeep a hotel, but that's the business they're in. They should be, performing maintenance and cleaning out the grout and doing things that maintains the standard you would expect when you arrive at a new build. And you have to, because a lot of people are living in new construction, so they're looking at those details. And I felt like it's starting to show the cracks. It's starting to feel worn.
Yeah, it didn't meet my standards for cleanliness, as I showed with the like the dust. Yeah, exactly. With the dust, like by the toilet paper holder, and just little things here and there. But beyond that, the general wear and tear, like you said.
Like the toilet seat is falling off.
Yeah.
Insert clip here. Like this, that's one of those things that I shouldn't have to worry about falling off the damn toilet seat first thing in the morning. Yeah. You did here. You had to sit carefully.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah. All right. Service. This is where they shined. Everybody that we came in contact with was super friendly, very genuine. Very genuine.
And a point to that friendliness. So often now for customer service, not only do they have a hard time getting consistent people, but getting people that are preemptively helpful, preemptively friendly. For instance, when we arrived at the hotel yesterday evening, the person that met us and said hi gave a genuine smile. They smiled first. And how often do you enter into a hotel, especially when we're traveling for business, and the person couldn't be less interested? They don't care why you're there. You're just one of hundreds of people and hundreds of problems they've got to deal with that day. Here, it didn't feel like that. The check-in was seamless. He was helpful. He was friendly and seemed genuinely enthusiastic about having guests, which, wow, what a concept.
Well, and it didn't hurt my feelings. He told me I had a nice smile.
Nope. That always wins some points.
Yeah. All right. So that's really, to me, that's where they've shined. It's actually your coffee.
Oh, no. I
but it's the same,
the cup.
It's the same order. We're good.
Okay, just need a topper.
All right. The value, just overall value. So the aesthetic of this hotel, it is unique, right? It was unique. What did it say on the website? Was it delightfully irreverent? And I do feel that. I feel like the overall aesthetic and design, it does have those quirky moments and feels modern, and it is different. It is different.
It is.
I mean,
you just find odd
squirrels
on the wall, right?
Or a big squirrel in the lobby.
Or a big squirrel in the lobby. But you find all of these little things during your stay that are just nice. It's not your typical corporate feel where there's no soul left in the place. The artwork, you don't even notice it. This is something that each corner you turn has something potentially unique about it, and that's enjoyable.
Yeah, and it's unique to Raleigh too, right? Because with this Sir Walter Raleigh mural or picture as you walk in the lobby, the squirrels, because I did look this morning, and I guess it's the gray squirrel is North Carolina's mammal, not animal, it said, or at least that's what ChatGPT said. But, we have squirrels everywhere.
Well, those oak trees.
And the oak trees, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I did appreciate that it had, lots of little nods to Raleigh, and it feeling like it's local. I don't feel like I would get that in another city. I know I'm here in Raleigh, which is kind of cool.
And some of the things that I thought would maybe annoy me, with not having a closet, didn't. I really didn't care. I found ultimately the fact that it didn't have a closet felt a little bit rebellious. It felt a little bit like...
That's on brand for you.
It is.
You don't like following rules.
Which is kind of funny because I came in and one of the first things I noticed was there's nowhere to put our bags, and that was a little frustrating because the room isn't huge. But we weren't tripping over things either. But not having a closet, I kind of felt Like, well, where am I going to hang my clothes then? I immediately felt the old man in me rear his ugly head. But then after 2 minutes of being here, I was like, actually, it's kind of neat. It was. I thought so. So I'm taking back my initial observation in a complaint way.
That's fair. It was fine for me for one night, but I do like being very organized. I am a rule follower.
Well, yes, you are. No, absolutely.
And so I think if I had been here for longer than one night, I want drawers. I want to hang up my clothes in order and like put the outfits together and have a place for everything.
Yeah, and I don't. I have black t-shirts and blue jeans. It doesn't matter what order they're in the closet.
No, that's true. My closet is definitely, it's color coded. Everything's hanging the right way, and I got, anyway, we won't go into that.
But I think that's a good point. If you were here for a couple of days, that's fine. But if you were here for an entire week, I can see how that starts to get pretty darn messy. And then you're living with that mess, which again, if the outward environment is a manifestation of what's going on inside your head, then you don't feel like you're having a relaxing stay, or at least we wouldn't. We'd start to feel like, we're starting to get cluttered. Immediately, and then all the fun's gone out of it.
A messy house or room is a messy mind.
Yeah, exactly right.
All right. Also with value, it is a great location because it is walkable, but it's convenient if you're in Raleigh, because Raleigh is really not that big of a town. So it is central to if you're going to UNC Chapel Hill or NC State or Duke or Meredith College, like all of those colleges, and I know we have plenty more too, but or any, if you're working here for work in Morrisville, or do you?
Yeah, that area. Yeah, it would be a good thing. I think one thing I really do want to stress is if you do end up coming here, skip the restaurant.
Yeah.
That was very disappointing. The staff was not. Staff was bloody amazing. But the food, honestly,
it was a miss.
It was a huge miss. It lacked flavor. It lacked all of the things that you hope you're getting with a meal. That it never had a moment where we ate something last night. We went, oh, that's good. And we were ready for that. We wanted that to be a part of our experience, and it wasn't. So if you're here, business or otherwise, you're coming in to visit one of the local colleges and do a school tour, go to another restaurant. Don't bother eating at the hotel.
Because we do have a pretty good food scene here in Raleigh that I think can sometimes be overrated, like if people are comparing it to Charlotte. But yeah, and we were talking this morning, we may hit some of those restaurants just so you can see, what the food's like and what our take is on it.
Yeah, because there are some really good restaurants.
Yeah, and we like food.
Yeah, we do.
We appreciate good food. And it doesn't even, like, we like expensive food, but we also like give us a good burger too. Like, we don't
hole in the wall joint just as well, as long as it's cooked well. And that's where they fell short. Again, staff were amazing. It's just the food. You were very much left going, I didn't care whether I ate it or not.
Yeah. And we skipped dessert because we figured it just wasn't even worth the calories. So save that for another glass of wine.
The irony.
Actually, we're going to Costco after this, and we're getting the salted caramel cheesecake.
Perfect.
Because the kids are coming over, and that's a good excuse.
It's bribery. Come visit, get cheesecake.
Yes. So if you haven't had the salted caramel cheesecake at Costco, it is actually very delicious.
Amazing.
All right. Anything else in the overall value? Again, good for a short stay.
I second that. It's great for a short stay, especially if you're not wasting your time and your money at the hotel restaurant. I think this location is amazing. I think the hotel overall, it lived up to what could be described as delightfully irreverent. But would I want to stay here for a week? No.
Yeah.
But also it's centrally located to so many other things, including some other great restaurants that now kind of sad we didn't go and visit at least one of those. However, you live and learn, and part of the experience and part of the reason for doing this is to let you know what it is worth going to, what's worth visiting and what's not.
Well, and we wanted to test the restaurant in here just because, when you travel and you're tired and you just want to have good food and not have to get up and kind of go out again.
Yeah.
So if you are tired, it is worth going out again. I think that's where we're landing.
It is. Yeah, this is funny because I'm very happy sometimes I get to a hotel, especially late afternoon, early evening, I don't want to go out again. I'll just eat whatever's available at the hotel restaurant. But this is one of those now, having eaten there, I wouldn't do that again.
Yeah. So ultimately, was it worth leaving home for? I say no.
Yeah, no.
No. Again, the service was great, and I appreciate that. And to be fair, we will be hitting the other hotels here in Raleigh, like the mid-luxury and up, so you can kind of compare. And there's only so many, so it's not. I wouldn't count it out if others are booked, but it's better than a Hampton Inn or one of those. But if you're coming here for like a couple's weekend, no,
find somewhere else. It's not quite quirky enough to compensate for where it's falling short, ultimately, in my mind at least. Yeah,
that's fair. So you agree it's not worth leaving home for?
No.
Yeah.
I tell you, this is hard because it's the hotel and the staff particularly are good enough that I feel guilty saying no.
Yeah, but we're at that point in our lives now, right? Where if we're going to spend the money, like we love our home, and that's the whole point of this channel and like what we're doing. If we're going to spend the money, it needs to be worth leaving the comforts of our home because we love our shower. We love our bidet. We love our chairs. Like we love being at home. Ironically, we're introverts and love
home people.
Yeah. And we enjoy being around each other. Like we have fun together, so
hanging out.
Yeah,
we're in that home stretch to death, so it's kind of fun. Just really enjoy that.
Well, and we will be doing a video that's more about like our story and how we met 30 years ago on the beach in Aruba. So stay tuned for that, or maybe by the time this is out, you can click up there and watch it if you're interested.
But as far as this hotel is concerned, with reservation and some small amount of guilt because of the people were so nice, is it worth leaving home? I'm going to say no.
No, that's a wrap. We're off to Costco, and we're excited about it.
It was at this exact moment as we wrapped up that we started hearing sirens, and they were so loud we thought, well, we'll jump up and get that recording. We got a lot more than that. I wonder why they turn their sirens off.
Because they're getting out.
The emergency is over.
Yep. Okay, they're coming into the hotel.
Oh.
Well.
We were just going to shoot some footage of how loud the siren was as it went by, but instead we're going to make it onto an episode of 911.
I swear he just grabbed an axe. Well, good thing is we're all packed and we're getting ready to check out. So how about we go?
They're coming to repair that shower head. As I'd been instructed, I was trying to get more footage of the squirrels.
Terry. Okay, I rode in the elevator to get our coffee this morning. Okay, I was literally on that elevator by myself this morning to go get our coffee. If that had been me, I would have died.
You would have died.
I would have been so stressed. Oh, this is number 2. Hold on, we gotta keep going.
Can you believe we came out of our room to the hotel and somebody's stuck in there?
I know, they said 3 people stuck in there. If that had been me by myself.
Didn't we say the hotel's starting to show some wear and tear?
I'm just first floor. Thank God it was not me.
The strange thing is we ended up in an elevator with the 2 firemen, the hotel manager or the maintenance guy, whoever he was, and we all rode down in kind of awkward silence. I wasn't sure if I was allowed to film them while they're on the job, and in my indecision I ended up shutting off the camera, but it was just weird. We finally got downstairs and found another fire truck had arrived and more guys were going in. We realized we had a perfect finale to our stay at the Casso. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. Cheers.